What if Vegeta trained with Galactic Patrol Jaco? I think this would be really funny, but actually would serve a very important purpose because it would allow, I think, Vegeta's perspectives to change based off of Jaco's very by-the-book precision type of approach to handling business. That's going to ultimately clash with Vegeta's brute force and prideful nature, right? So I think the funny attempts by Jocko to try and enforce those Galactic Patrol regulations on Vegeta would obviously lead to comedic chaos, but again, it would serve a long-term purpose in Vegeta's character development. You would see this very unlikely master and stubborn pupil student relationship here. I think Jocko would be attempting to teach Vegeta advanced techniques like even more spatial awareness. Jocko's very good at that in his own way. Precision targeting, okay, these are things that Vegeta is not unfamiliar with, but it's a different way to add to his fighting arsenal. That's essentially what Jocko would be trying to do. Vegeta's initial struggles in this would be subtle, okay? He would have to work on controlling that raw power. It's going to be a very, very stark contrast to his usual just kind of let me just blow it up approach, right? This is going to force him to have to kind of take a step back in a way that he's going to be uncomfortable with at first. But again, it leads to his ultimate development. There's going to be surprising moments in here as well where I think Jocko's unique perspective on fighting and some of these techniques when it comes to awareness and targeting would actually force Vegeta to think a bit differently in a resentful way, of course, in the beginning, like it always is with Vegeta, but ultimately, as he is becoming older, he is learning as much as he can. He learned instant transmission once just to obviously help out the people that he cares about, and then essentially said he would never do it again, right? And I still think that's hilarious, and I believe him, but I would like to see Vegeta use instant transmission more than once. I think he's pretty cool doing it. You look at, as we're talking about techniques and spatial awareness and targeting, tactical transformations beyond Vegeta's true brute force and traditional brute force that we've seen on screen and in the manga. Jocko's training is more about stealth and intel gathering, right? Jocko's not just go in there and blow it up like Vegeta. He's not just go in there and just fire off. Jocko likes to read the situation to understand what he's really dealing with. I think Vegeta subtly having to watch that and be alongside Jocko on their patrols would, in some way, put Vegeta in a spot where I think he's more or less doing that to an extent now, depending on how far you think he's come with that. For example, when Broly and Paragus arrived during the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, Vegeta could have essentially went at Broly first. He's just like, I don't recognize these two. Who are they? You know, whatever problems you had with my father have nothing to do with me. He wasn't really trying to get involved. That was very different than what we saw from him back in the earlier Dragon Ball Z days, where he was almost impatient to wait for a better resolution to come along. So I think this would be a way for Vegeta to utilize his own technique to outmaneuver and outsmart opponents from actually taking a little bit more time to assess the situation as opposed to going in there just because he has the power to do so. This obviously creates the Prince's paradigm shift, which creates this ultimate new perspective I'm talking about. He's going to eventually have respect for Jocko, like he essentially has for any mentor, anyone that's trained him, anyone that's taught him something. He may not say it outright, but there's a clear level of subtle respect that Vegeta can have for anyone that can allow him to learn something, to increase his power, to gain strength, whatever it is, right? And Jocko's unconventional fighting skills and his deeper understanding, I think, of tactical combat in a way will actually help Vegeta develop even better as a martial artist himself. And the implications of this is that Vegeta will begin learning, most importantly, what I've been talking about, number one, restraint, and number two, humility, even if it's only in very small micro doses over years of his training and his time in the Galactic Patrol with Jocko. So yes, it looks like a very unlikely partnership on screen or in the manga or on a page, but I think it would actually give Vegeta a better outlook on strength that would help him potentially be stronger than what he currently is today. And I think it would make for a very updated approach to his fighting style. I love Vegeta's fighting style, but I would love for him to develop his own technique that would be similar to a Kaioken. I think Jocko would point him in the right direction of that. Would there be consequences of this power-up that Vegeta would gain learning time on the Galactic Patrol with Jocko? Depends on who you ask. Obviously, there's always the butterfly effect that essentially is in motion 24/7 in the Dragon Ball multiverse. Yes, Vegeta going down this path would open up something else, maybe a different adversary, a different villain that he would have to come across at some point that would really test his limits in a way he has never dealt with in the canon manga or the canon anime that we've seen. I think those ideas can be anything you and I can think of, but I think that's the alternate timeline you would see if Vegeta actually sticks to this path of learning as much as he can from Jocko, which again, I think would ultimately benefit him long term, than just be a short term, oh, this was funny, this was comedic, this was a slice of life thing. No, I think Jocko would actually, in such a strange way, elevate a part of Vegeta's fighting game to a level that would make him even harder for adversaries to fight. Hence why the villains would have to be stronger and have weird quirks that he would have to struggle against. Just my thoughts on this. You guys feel free to let me know yours in the comment section below if you would like to add. And as always, any ideas or topics related to Vegeta, Goku, any main character in the series, or even a character that you think we should talk about more, let me know in that comment section below. I'm always free to doing those for you guys when I get a chance as soon as possible. As always,